All right, everybody, welcome to the Team Rhino call for, what is it, March 19th. So it's Thursday, March 19th, and we're going to talk our second little segment here about branding. We talked last time about kind of trying to find your brand and how to go through that little exercise and talk about what your brand is. If you haven't done that, you need to go figure that out first. You need to figure out what kind of information you want to put out and what kind of audience you want to put that information out to so that you can attract people. Remember that, like, the whole goal of all of this is to become attractive. And I don't mean become attractive like you're not currently attractive, but become attractive to a large group of audience. And so you have to, do content and social media and blogging and all these different things right in order to attract an audience. Because when you first start out as a coach, a lot of what you're doing is kind of like hunting. You're kind of going out there and talking to people and you're going after them. And what you really want to get it down to is that you have put out so much good information and are such a good source for people that you begin to attract an audience to you rather than having to go out and find new people all the time. And I'm not the world's foremost expert on this. There's people out there who are doing this way, way, way better than I am. But I do have a fair amount of people who come to me every month, and I can pretty much make Success Club on the number of people that come to me and say, hey, you're still doing that Shakeology thing, right? Or, hey, I saw you on your blog, or, hey, I saw your training plan on Training Peaks, or, hey, I saw this. And they come to me, and then, or their customer leads or their 90-10 leads or whatever, and I'm able to make Success Club on that. And that's so much better. I think those of you who maybe are struggling with hunting right now would agree that that's so much better than, getting to the beginning of every month and going, okay, who am I going to go find to get into my challenge group, and how am I going to go do this? So what you're doing is you're doing that every month. You're going out and finding people, but as you go, you're also growing an audience, and you're growing an influence on the group of people that you really want to grow an influence on, so that you have a constant group of leads that are coming in every single month to you, and you don't have to worry about going out there and hunting. Okay. So if you know your brand and you know your audience, then the next thing to do is figure out, where are you going to broadcast to your audience? Where are you going to find your audience, and where are you going to broadcast to them? And there's a whole bunch of different places. But I just remembered something that I wanted to say before we get into that. I was talking to Taylor Dinslage, or she's on Facebook. She's Taylor Marie. You might know her from the Team Rhino group. She is reading a book right now called The Pumpkin Plan. And the idea of the book goes along with what we were talking about last week about branding, and about how you have an ideal customer that you're looking for. And too many people who are entrepreneurs are going after, like, they're being way too broad with who they want to work with. They're just like, I just want to work with everybody. Like, if I narrow myself down, how am I going to find enough people? There's not enough of those people. And I guarantee you there are enough of those people, and they're the people that you really want to work with. So when you're doing your branding and you're thinking about your audience, you got to come up with the people who you really, really want to work with, because if you target those people with all of your content, you're going to find people that you enjoy working with, instead of the people that abuse your time, don't respect you, will use your time and then buy on eBay. They'll use your time and then they'll buy on Amazon. They'll use your time and then they'll go sign up with another coach. They'll use your time and do all this stuff to you. And those are not the kind of people that you want to work with. You want to work with people that are going to respect you, people that are that you can really connect with, people that you want to work with. So don't be too broad with it. And so I wanted to recommend that book. Taylor highly recommended it. That really talks about working with the people that you actually want to work with, and not feeling like you have to work with these other people that just don't respect you and are taking your time. Okay. So let's get into the different ways to broadcast your message to your audience and to find your audience. The first one, and the most common and the most obvious, is social media. And within that, of course, there's how many different options within social media, right? It's kind of overwhelming at this point how many different options there are in social media. You see coaches out there who are absolutely killing it on Instagram. I mean, they are bringing in so many leads on Instagram, it's ridiculous. And they'll get, 650 likes on their Instagram posts, and they bring in, person after person after person in their challenge groups. And it's like, oh, I got to be on Instagram. Okay, I'm going to start an Instagram account. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do Instagram. And then other people are saying, oh, well, you need to be on Google Plus, because Google Plus helps you in your SEO rankings in Google, because Google owns Google Plus and they own YouTube. And so, if you have YouTube videos and you're on Google Plus, then you're going to get this and you're going to get that. Okay, I got to be on Google Plus, and I got to have a YouTube account, and I got to do videos, and I got to be on Instagram. And Facebook, obviously, that's where a good portion of people are today, is on Facebook. That's one of the biggest traffic sources. So I got to be on Facebook. And some people are doing Facebook ads, so I should probably do those too. And now there's Snapchat, and there's Reddit, and there's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is for professionals, and I'm a professional, so I should be on LinkedIn. So I need to go create that profile. And you guys kind of get the picture, right? That there's just so many things that you can put your message out on. So I think the first thing to ask yourself, if you guys are taking notes, I would write down, the first thing to ask yourself is, the group that I most want to connect with, where are they? If you're a stay-at-home mom, or a single mom, or you're a stay-at-home dad or something, LinkedIn is probably not your number one source. There's a bunch of professionals on there. They're not stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads. Maybe they're people who want to be stay-at-home dads and stay-at-home moms, and you could find some there, but it may not be your best source. So ask yourself those kind of questions, like, do some research on where does your audience hang out, and where are your number one sources to be. Should you be on Google Plus? Should you be on LinkedIn? Should you be on Instagram? Okay, so that's the first question to ask yourself. The next question to ask yourself, I think, is, how much can you handle with social media? Are you a tech person that feels really comfortable with something like an auto poster that you can post, and it'll post to like 7 different places at the same time? If I say something like that, are you going to go, are you going to gloss over and kind of be like, oh my God, I don't even know what he's talking about? Then don't worry about that, okay? You should pick one social media source that you want to focus on for now, and add more as you feel more comfortable. Do not feel like you need to go add every social media source in the world out there, okay? So I'm on a whole bunch of them, and I'm very comfortable with tech stuff, like finding some service that'll post to 7 different places for me, or doing blogging, or getting into WordPress, or all that kind of stuff. So I do all that stuff. You don't have to do that, okay? Most people are going to do pretty good just starting out, making their brand awareness on something like Facebook, where you're comfortable. If you're comfortable on Facebook, you can be there. Instagram is really easy to go back and forth between Facebook and Instagram, right? You can post on Instagram, and it has a little Facebook button, and it goes to your Facebook. So that's easy. So if you're comfortable with Facebook, maybe do Facebook and Instagram and be there, right? Yeah. If you want more, then the next places that I would go is Google Plus or LinkedIn, okay? So Google Plus and LinkedIn are the next 2 places that I would go. We're talking social media here, okay? So social media, I wonder if I can. Some people, can you guys mute if you're not muted, just so that there's not any extra sound here? Chad, can you mute? There we go. Cool. All right. So we're talking about social media, and the next thing though is, when you figure out what source you're most comfortable with, or what, it's not a source, what broadcasting place you're most comfortable with, you want to have a hub, okay? You got to have a hub where you drive everyone back to there, okay? So what I don't want to do personally is, I don't want to talk to 17 people on Instagram, and 17 people on Facebook, and 17 people on Google Plus, and going back and forth between all these things. What I want to do is, I want to have my main hub where I drive everyone to. So if I meet someone on Google Plus, I want to drive them to a source, somewhere where I want to really talk to them, okay? One of the most successful coaches at this right now is Megan Ewaldson, who I talked about. I talked to her about branding and stuff like that. And she's on Instagram, but her like page on Facebook is her hub. And she drives everyone off of Instagram onto her like page. So when she meets someone on Instagram, they comment on one of her photos that also went over to Facebook. She talks to them a little bit there and says, hey, come over to my like page because that's where I'm going to post information about this. And she drives them over there. And she keeps driving people to the same spot so that she can put the most information out at that spot and just use the other spots to bring people in. You guys can't see my hands when I do this, can you? But out here, they're bringing them into the hub, okay? So you got to figure out, where is your hub going to be, okay? For me, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to drive people to my blog, okay? And that's going to be my hub for where I want people to go to get information about what I'm doing. I want to drive people to my like page on Facebook, and more importantly, to my blog and to my newsletter. The reason for that, the main reason for that, is because when you have your hub on a social media site, you don't own the contacts there, right? Facebook owns those contacts. You don't have their email address. If Facebook decided to wipe out your 10,000 likes on your like page, which Leona might actually be happy about because all of hers are in Iraq or something, like, or Turkey. But if they decided to wipe out all those people that like your page, there's nothing that, I mean, you don't have those people's information. If somebody signs up for your newsletter, you have their email address. You own that information, right? And so that's your list. It's your people. You're much more in control when you have a newsletter or a blog or something like that. So again, though, here, I start talking about blogging and stuff. I don't want people to get overwhelmed. If you're comfortable on something like Facebook, first thing to do is get yourself a like page that corresponds to your brand and start driving people onto your like page. Okay, start driving people there to get the information that you want to get out. If you want to get to a blog later on, maybe that's not something that you're feeling comfortable with right now, then you can move that into a blog later on by starting the blog and then talking on your like page about all the blogs that you're doing over on the blog and driving people over to that hub. Okay, the point is, you need a hub where you're going to drive everybody to, so you can put the maximum amount of information out there. So if people know, if they want to know what's going on with you, that's where they go. Okay, so way too many social media outlets to talk about individually, one by one, and which ones you're going to do. But the point is to have yourself a hub where you're going to drive all your people. What we're going to talk about really in as much detail as possible next week is content. We're going to talk about content curation, content creation, and what kind of stuff do you really want to put out on your social media sites so that people relate to you, and so that people buy from you, so people really follow you, okay? And we're targeting all of that at your particular audience, okay? So first step is get that branding done. Make sure you know exactly what your brand is. Maybe you've got a name for it. Don't get too crazy with it. You know, something simple, something catchy, something that corresponds with your brand so people know what you're talking about. It could just be your name and health and fitness. That's totally fine. But make sure that it's something that you can talk about, all the stuff that corresponds to your brand, right? So my problem with my first like page, which I still use for triathlon related stuff or fitness related stuff, is I named it Base Training, which was really started as my triathlon coaching business. And I didn't feel like it was a really great place to talk about being a dad, you know, because it was kind of geared towards triathlon training. And so I couldn't really talk about that. So I've kind of rebranded everything over to where I can talk about being a dad, running an at-home business, being an endurance athlete, you know, and basically those three things, and all in one place. And I can talk about all that stuff. So let's just open up for questions and talk about social media. We've got time to talk about social media questions. I know you guys have got to have questions about, well, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I be on here? Should I do that? Who's got questions? You got to unmute yourself if you have a question.
Ryan, I don't have a question, but I have a comment about using Instagram and Facebook together.
Okay.
I know I have friends on Instagram and Facebook, and it really helps me posting from Instagram to Facebook, because some of those people might just stalk Facebook, but they actually comment on my Instagram photos and videos.
Right.
So those that use both of those together, that's a really good concept to use.
Right. I think Instagram's a great one for somebody who's like a little overwhelmed with the idea of blogging and Google Plus and all these other platforms, LinkedIn and all this kind of stuff. If you're comfortable on Facebook, which most people are, then Instagram's not too difficult. You can set up Instagram, and anytime you have a picture, rather than posting it on Facebook, everybody's on their phones nowadays anyway. You just go post a picture on Instagram and tap the Facebook button, and it goes right over to your Facebook, right? The only problem with it is I don't know if you can set it up to go to a like page. Can you set it up, Instagram, to go to a like page rather than a personal page?
I don't think so. I think it just goes to my personal page. Right. I haven't tried to link it.
So that's the only problem with it, is if you're trying to build a like page, then you can't really post Instagram to Facebook.
Well, I have 40,000 likes already. I don't need to build my like page.
Yeah,
just kidding.
If they were all viable, then that would be true.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, seriously, like I think Instagram's good, but you do have to think about if your hub is going to be a like page, which I think is a good idea, rather than your personal page, then you need to figure out a way to get that photo over onto your like page if it's something that you're posting for that purpose, So other questions, other things?
I like what you said about having one central site to kind of drive everything and to maximize the amount of information you put there.
Yeah.
So my question is, do you think the title of your blog is important? Because I have a title right now that I kind of like, but I don't know if it's going to kind of limit the people that I'm trying to reach.
I do think the title of your blog is important. If it doesn't match with what you talk about on the blog, or what you want to talk about on the blog, then it doesn't do as well. Usually a blog has a name and then a tagline, and it's like mine is Ironhead Dad, and then the tagline is Dad of Twins who's running a small business, or the journey of a stay-at-home dad running a small business, or something like that, and they know that they're going to get stuff about kids and being a dad, and they know they're going to get stuff about being a small business owner working from home, and they kind of know, and then the Ironhead part and all the pictures all have triathlon stuff in them, so they know that I'm an endurance athlete, and so they kind of get the picture of what are they going to get out of this if they like it, or what are they going to get out of it if they follow it,
And my next question is, what site did you use to build your blog? Because I'm thinking about moving mine over from Google.
I used WordPress. I used WordPress. So we probably should have a whole, separate training on blogging, because, I mentioned that my hub is going to be my blog, and I'm pushing people towards that. And that's, a new thing, just because I want people, to be on my email lists and stuff like that, rather than just having it all on a like page. You're never going to get 100% of the people that like your page on Facebook to join your newsletter and to, be at, because it's a little bit more of an intimate connection, I think, than just liking a page, to be on somebody's newsletter and get emails from them, and to follow their blog or get an RSS feed from their blog or something like that. It's a little bit more intimate. So you may not get all of those people, but if you're driving as many of them there as possible, then you can own that information, and you have, ways to contact those people, even if Facebook no longer exists, which I can't imagine life without Facebook. But yeah, I think, what was your second question? Did I answer it?
Yeah, just the blog site.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. WordPress. So there's two ways to do WordPress. WordPress.com will give you a free URL, which will be like, henrietta.wordpress.com. So it will have WordPress in the URL. The second way to do it is you download all the files for free at wordpress.org, and then you go get yourself a URL like henrietta.com, and you get yourself a host like GoDaddy or Bluehost or aplus.net, and you upload the files, and now your site is henrietta.com, not henrietta.wordpress.com. And that does much, much better in searches. So, but you do have to pay a web host, rather, like $5.99 a month or $9.99 a month to host that site, whereas WordPress.com would be free. And there's some other blogging sites like Blogger.com, I think, is another one that you could get a blog at. That would be usually something like henrietta.blogger.com or something, So you've got some free options, and then it's $5.99 or $9.99 a month to get a URL and to host your own WordPress site with a host. It's just a little more techy because you gotta go figure out, okay, I gotta get a host, and then I gotta sign up for that, and then I gotta upload files of WordPress, and then I gotta start, WordPress.com's a little bit more like just go there, click this button, click that button. Oh, you have a blog, So I recommend, actually doing the URL thing and figuring it out. I think it's good. I think it's good for people to do that anyway, to spend a little time figuring it out. And then just kind of playing with it as they go. The other option is, what some people have done is said, I don't have the tech ability to go put together a blog, but I want a blog. And so I'll pay, $500, $1,000 or whatever to have someone make me a blog. And you can totally do that. There's actually Practical Social Media University has worked with Beachbody coaches before, and they actually have a blogging service basically where you tell them, what your coach ID is for Beachbody, and you tell them, all the stuff that pertains to you and what URL you bought, and they will make you a blog for, I don't know how much it is, like $500 or something like that. And they'll do it through WordPress.org. They'll make you a WordPress site. And so if you look up Tracy Morrow blogging service on Google, you'll find that. She got involved. You guys know who Tracy, some of you probably know who Tracy Morrow is. She's one of the founding coaches. She's way up there. She got involved with Practical Social Media University and kind of came up with a service where you can basically, it's just like plug and play blogs. So everybody's blog looks fairly similar, which is the only problem with it, is that they're all pretty similar. But you can change stuff on it. You can make them what you want, and you can ask them to not put this part on or not put that part on or whatever. So pretty cool deal. I think we need to have a training on blogging though, huh? Probably need to do maybe we'll do the last week of this on blogging and really get deep into WordPress and how to get blogging. But we need to talk about content first and stuff like that, because I think that's important. That's probably the biggest piece of it, after you know who you want to target and what you want to target them with, what kind of, what brand you're going to target them with and where you're going to target them. Then now what do I post? What am I going to post? So we'll talk about that a bit next week. Other questions? Let's keep going.
Hey, Ryan, I would love to learn more about blogging effectively. I write a few articles for LinkedIn,
Okay.
and whoever I get to read them thinks they're great, but nobody reads them. So it's like, I spend a fair amount of time putting these together, and usually what ends up happening is I'll put them on Facebook and say, hey, check out this article I just wrote for LinkedIn. And then they go to the link and it takes them to my LinkedIn page, and they read the article and they say, wow, that's really great. But then they're the only 40 people that ever read it. So it's like, what am I missing here for the 800 connections I have in LinkedIn that they don't see it or whatever?
Yes, I don't really do LinkedIn personally, but I think, so when you write it in LinkedIn, it gets posted for your 800 connections to see as well.
It's a public connection. I mean, you can, similar to Facebook, you can put it public or you can put it to only certain groups with however you organize your contacts, but I just leave it public. And
do they get does everybody get a notification that you posted it, or is it just if they look?
They have a news feed similar to Facebook, but I think it just gets buried, and
yeah.
I don't know how it makes any headway. I had one article that was, front page of the news for half of a day, and it got a couple thousand views, and it was great, but none of my other articles ever went there. I don't even know how that one did.
You know, it's all I've heard about LinkedIn is that it's a great place to make connections one-on-one with people, like to find people that have similar stuff as you and make connections with them. I've never heard of anybody, you know, posting stuff in their news feed and getting a lot of traction with it. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, but that hasn't been my understanding of LinkedIn. Like, do people actually watch their LinkedIn news feed? I'm not sure. I mean, I get a lot of, hey, I want to put you in my circle in LinkedIn or whatever. I want to put you in my professional, you know, people or whatever. But I'm not sure that there's people scrolling through their LinkedIn newsfeed. Are you scrolling through your LinkedIn newsfeed to look at stuff?
It comes in fits and spurts. A lot of the stuff, you're right. It depends what kind of news you're interested in, and that's part of another search criteria you can set. Mm-hmm. Here are the topics that interest me, and so they'll put that news on my feed.
Right.
So if somebody else doesn't have something where a keyword on my article perhaps doesn't register, then maybe they would never see it. But I don't really know. It's a little
right. Well, I think one of the things is that, so you know who owns searching is Google, right? Google
right.
Searching in general. I mean, they just own it. And what happens is, you know, like, so this guy that I just talked to on the phone today, his name's Justin Rickliffs, and I posted some things, reposted some things on Ironhead Dad because I Googled things dads of daughters should know. I just Googled that, right? The first thing that comes up is 15 things every dad of daughter should know on this guy's site. And I clicked on it, and it was wonderfully written 15 things that every dad of daughter should know. It was exactly what it sounded like. It was perfect. It was like, I was like, that's awesome. And there was like even little things within it that I was like, oh, I'm exactly the same way as that, you know? And he started that blog 11 months ago, and he's the #1 person in Google for 15 things that dads, if you search dads of daughters should know, it's boom, right there. And someone like me is out there searching for that, right? Now, that may seem like a fairly narrow thing, like how many dads of daughters go to Google and search 15 things dads of daughters should know, or even dads of daughters should know, or something like that. But, you know, he made a really good connection, and that thing is getting tons and tons of views that he may not have even expected when he did it. If you write an article in LinkedIn, because Google doesn't own LinkedIn, they're not going to ever put that as first, is one of the problems. Now, you've got 800 connections in LinkedIn that could see it, but Google has, you know, 40 million dads across the country that might find an article like that, you know. So I think that's one of the powerful things about blogging is you probably could blog on a website that you own and copy that into LinkedIn, and if you get a connection or two, it'd be cool. But you're writing this on your blog and then posting it into LinkedIn for people to read and driving them. It's again, driving them somewhere outside of LinkedIn. You're driving them to you, not staying in within LinkedIn, you know, if that makes sense. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it just kind of emphasizes the need to have a central place, like a blog. And I missed the first part of the call where I'm sure you talked about that. So I'll have to revisit that and see what I can do about setting something up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people use their like page on Facebook as their central hub, and they'll try to drive people from LinkedIn, Instagram, all those places back to that central hub. And that's cool. And I think that that's a really good idea for people who are scared of blogging at this point, or just maybe don't have time to look into it. And a like page is an easy way to do it. I personally like the idea of all your content, all your big content is on a blog that you own, and then all your other things are ways to drive people to it. LinkedIn is a place where you could post it and get people to come sign up for your newsletter or sign up for a feed of your blogs. And your like page is similar. Like, you can put out information that doesn't do that, but a lot of what you do keeps driving people to that blog and keeps driving people to that blog, you know, and your personal page does some of that, and your Google Plus does some of that, and your YouTube does some of that, and all that kind of stuff. So.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll go over blogging more. I'll definitely have to do that. Maybe Dave's already created that. How to blog. Dave's pretty good at that stuff. Anything else? What else do people have questions about social media and outlets and things? I think that that's the big point that I wanted to get across with this, is to think about it as a central information hub, and you've got tons of outlets, as many as you would like to handle, to drive people back to that central hub. So if you can handle Google+, Instagram, a like page, a personal page, LinkedIn, and all of it, then go for it. Drive people, but always drive people back to there. Your goal is to fill up the number of people following one specific hub, really, is what you want to do. Or maybe you could consider it two specific hubs, the blog and the like page, or a blog and a Google+ business page, or whatever it is for you. So, and we probably do need to talk a little bit more about Google+ if you have a blog, just because of the search engine stuff. Google really, really likes it when you have a blog that is connected to a Google+ business page that has a YouTube account, because when all those three things are together in the Google search, they're like, ooh, we like his information because he has YouTube and he has Google+ and he has a Google+ business page, and we verified his website. And so guess what it does in the search rankings? You go up in the search rankings because you're playing by their rules, basically. And if you want to get high in the search rankings so people find you on your particular topics, then, and you think about it, like the guy who I talked to today, who wrote that 15 things dads of daughters should know. If he was a Beachbody coach, his blog being about family, and he talks about health and wellness in there and how he keeps his family healthy, and he talks about being a dad of daughters, and he talks about he's actually in sales in the corporate world, and he talks about business stuff on there. That 15 dads of daughters thing could bring him so many leads for Beachbody and coaching. It's ridiculous. Your blog does not have to be about Beachbody. In fact, it shouldn't be about Beachbody. It should be about you and what you do, because people follow you. They don't follow Beachbody. They follow you. Some people follow Beachbody, but they can follow Beachbody without you. You want them to follow you and be inspired by you and what you do, and then want to do what you do. And that's really what you're trying to do, is be that person that inspires people to do what you do. And so what is it that you do that will inspire people, not just your fitness, that people will go, I like that, and that 15 dads of daughters thing, I connected with that. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I want to write similar stuff on my blog that makes people go, wow, that guy's really this, or that guy's really that, or that guy's got a really good handle on that. And then they contact me and they like, so what do you do? And then we talk about it, and I'm like, I do this. And like, wow, that's awesome. I'd love to get out of my job. And they become a coach, right? That's kind of the idea there, is to inspire people with your life and what you're trying to do with it. And overall, not just, I sell Beachbody programs, I sell Shakeology. Make sense? Sounds easy, right? No problemo. Anything else, guys? Leona,
that's good stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Leona, are you coming to Pio?
Yes.
That was not very big. That was not a strong vote of confidence there, but okay. I'll see you there.
Okay.
All right. See you guys later.